to my podcast, The Government Mechanic. I am your host, Dr. Lynn Sandra Kahn, and I am the Government Mechanic. This is the final episode of Season 3, and there are 3 points that I want to make very, very clear, and they're in the title of this episode. 3 reasons why 90 million Americans hate the Democrats. So I want my Democrat friends and Democrat leadership and all those progressive and independent podcasters out there to pay attention. The first set of reasons why people hate the Democrats has to do with the failures of family law, family court, foster care, medical kidnapping, and parental alienation. These were the topics of 7 of the episodes in Season 3. They were very difficult episodes. They were exhausting for people who are participating, for people who are listening, and I know from comments that it did, in fact, trigger a lot of people. These are really, really painful experiences that families have had at the hands of government. Today, there are about 360,000 children in foster care. It used to be a little bit higher, but the most important piece to understand is that between 75% and 87% of children taken from their homes are not taken because of abuse. They are taken for, quote, neglect, which is often another word for poverty. It's the conditions of poverty that trigger child welfare investigations and lead to children being taken from their homes. A devastating and traumatic experience for everyone. If you're thinking between 75% and 87% failure, there's 360,000 or so children in foster care. There were 400,000 in 2022. Somewhere between 275,000 and 325,000 children every year are taken from their homes. So if you look at that over 10 years, you have 3 million children, 3 million parents, and another 3 million of the other parent, another sibling, a neighbor. You have 10 million people that have been traumatized by our child welfare system. Just this week, I saw a post from an organization called Children's Rights, and they had submitted a report to the United Nations panel on extreme poverty. According to the Children's Rights Report, this will sound familiar, it is conditions of poverty, such as housing instability, food insecurity, lack of medical care, that are often treated as neglect, and that's why children are taken from their homes. The child welfare system puts families, especially poor families, under surveillance. They punish them. They take children out of their homes. And what our guest said on our episodes, as well as this Children's Rights Report, says what families in America need is support, not punishment. They need real solutions, especially during extreme times or when they're in a crisis. And instead, what happens when the families are in a crisis, the money that comes from the federal government to the states only kicks in when the state takes the child out of the home. We are incentivizing hundreds of thousands of children taken from their homes because they are poor. Along with that, there's no due process. We're talking about due process all the time now. We don't look at family law and family court. There is no due process in family court. It's often said criminals in criminal court have more rights than families in family court. And those 10 million people would be thrilled if Elon Musk took a chainsaw to the Administration for Children and Families and sent his folks in to figure out where exactly is all that money going, the billions and billions of dollars that go from the federal government to state governments and only kicks in when children are removed from their home. Where is that money going exactly? And How does that relate to the 33,000 children that go missing from foster care every year? Is there a connection with sex trafficking? What is going on with our foster care system? If Democrats want to attract more voters, they need to pay a lot of attention to and do real fixing of the policies that are breaking families. If you care about new voters, you need to take care of our children and our families and fix those policies that have done so much damage. And I think you can start by replacing mandatory reporting with voluntary reporting, one of the recommendations in that children's rights presentation to the United Nations. Take care of our children and families and start by fixing foster care. The second cluster of reasons why so many people help take the Democrats has to do with the failure of our farm and food policies. So about 60 million people live in rural America. In 1970, we had over 648,000 dairy farms. In 2022, we had 24,000, a decrease of 95%. And this has to do with USDA, U.S. Department of Agriculture policies that favor industrial large-scale farming and are biased against family-owned farms and ranches. Farming has always been on the margin, but it got worse in 2012. Hello, Democrats, you made it illegal to serve whole milk in schools. In 2012, the Obama administration decided that whole milk was making kids fat, even though the science now says that it takes fat to burn fat. And they decided to ban whole milk and even 2% milk in our public schools or wherever anyone was taking federal funds for children and seniors. Not only did that law banning whole milk in schools contribute to the decline of family farming and especially dairy farming in our country, it hollowed out the communities and neighborhoods around those family farms, because farming, for every dollar of farming income, 44 cents is spent in that local community because farmers buy their supplies locally. So not only did we do damage to family farms, we did great damage to the communities that surround those farms. Over the summer of 2024, I went to 4 different county fairs in upstate New York, and I was with a group of people that are part of this 97milk.com grassroots effort to bring whole milk back into our schools. And we handed out whole milk samples, white milk, chocolate milk, and sometimes maple milk, to thousands and thousands of people. These are county fairs where 25, 30,000 people will show up. So we literally gave out milk to thousands and thousands of children and families. And they loved the whole milk. They loved the whole white milk, the chocolate milk, the maple milk. Many of them even understood that if they had trouble digesting milk, they could ask for A2 milk, which was bred in Australia over 100 years ago to eliminate that enzyme that makes it difficult for people to digest milk. So here we are in rural America giving out milk, talking about why it's illegal to serve whole milk in schools, which everyone that we talked to blamed Michelle Obama for. We talked about what they did with the milk in school, and most of them said they didn't drink it. They certainly said that they didn't like how it tasted. It didn't taste anywhere near as good as the milk that they had at home. Our conclusion is really pretty clear. Support the whole milk in schools movement. Talking about you, Chuck Schumer, because you are seen as one of the primary blockades, barriers to bringing whole milk back into schools. Yes, legislation's been proposed. It's, I think, passed in the House, is waiting in the Senate. Support the whole milk for healthy kids legislation. Bring whole milk back to schools. Meanwhile, the third group of people that I think really are not happy with the Democrats are our veterans. I read that 60% of veterans voted for Donald Trump. And my reasons for pointing to the Democrats around these issues, it's not so much who sends our young people off to wars that do not have to be fought. I truly think it's kind of a toss-up. Both parties have been doing that. I do want to look at one data point to make a point, and that's how long does it take a veteran to get a determination of benefits? In 2013, it took 347 days, almost a year, before someone mustered out of the military finds out what benefits they are due and when they will start. And this includes people that were injured. So you have injured soldiers, now veterans, waiting to find out what the VA thinks about their request for support and benefits. So in 2013, it took 347 days to get benefits. In 2024, it took 149 days. Yeah, it's an improvement. Why isn't it instantaneous? I have a tiny little place in Baltimore, Maryland, and a few months ago I wanted to switch out my large old garbage cans and recycle cans. And all I had to do was call the non-emergency number 311, which provides support for all Baltimore City services. This was about 10:30 in the morning. I said I wanted new trash cans. They had me fill out a form. I sent it in. By 1:30 that afternoon, I had a response to my request. I was going to get my new garbage cans and recycle can, and it would be delivered the following Tuesday. Now, I know that medical records are obviously more complicated than switching out garbage cans, but how long do you think it would take Elon Musk to figure out how to instantaneously transfer Department of Defense medical records to the Department of Veterans Affairs medical records and have it seamless? And I bet they could figure out a way to do it that is way less than 149 days. Fix this. Fix this. Make it instantaneous. Why are our veterans waiting so long when all the information is there? And what is it that the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs is saying when they doubt the need of our veterans to have access to the health care and mental health care and other supports that they need coming out of the military? Fix it. Fix it. Fix it. I don't like the direction our country is going in. I think it's becoming way too authoritarian, vindictive, and a few other things. But I want the Democrats to get their act together. And the way that they can do this is figure out very specific ways how to help our families, our farmers, and our veterans. Thank you.